Welcome. I am so glad that you are here with me today, friend. As I start this episode today, I want to ask you a question. Do you feel valued? Do you feel seen? Do you feel heard? Do you have an undying hunger to find that value? I'm sure that you do. Believe it or not, as humans, most of us feel that way. We're actually born with a hunger to learn, to grow. Think about it. When we're born, we don't know much of anything. We don't know how to feed ourselves or to walk or to talk. Those are all things that we aspire to do and to learn. It's kind of built inside of us, that desire to want to move forward and move to the next level in our life. Well, this week, I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about a blueprint in our life about how to find value and how to seek value in our life. So as I was reading this week, I kind of found that blueprint. That blueprint kind of stood out to me in what I call my master book, which is my Bible that I read all the time. In the Gospels, in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, there's a story about Jesus and his disciples. And although the story is repeated in each chapter or each book of those books in the Bible, they're a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same story. It's a story of the loaves and fishes, which most of you may have heard out there. But if you don't know it and you're not familiar with it, it's a story about Jesus and his disciples, and they had been speaking to people and seeing people and laying hands on people and healing the sick, and they were tired and they were worn out and they needed some peace and they needed some calm and they needed some rest. So they all got in a boat and they decided to go across the river to a place that was quiet. There wasn't a lot of people. They could get some rest and a little bit of solace before they went out again. But the people were so hungry to have what Jesus had that they met him on the other side of the river. They followed him to the other side of the river. It wasn't just a few people. It was thousands of people. And even in one of the Gospels, it says, one of the books in Luke, it says that the people ran to the other side. They actually beat them to the other side of the river. They were in such a hurry to get there to make sure that they didn't miss him. They wanted to be around Jesus. And I thought this was really interesting. And I thought about a question that was posed to me this week by somebody. They asked me, why would you pay somebody to mentor you or to coach you in your life now? And I thought, well, that's kind of an odd question. But then I thought more about it, and I was like, because, I want to continue to move to the next level in my life. I want to continue to grow, continue to learn. I know that I have a purpose and I have somebody out there waiting on the other side of my obedience to step into my purpose. And so I strive in my life to learn and to grow more so that I can be even better than I am. And that's really stood out to me when I was reading this story about Jesus, because when it talked about the people running to the next shore to get there, to see him, to be with him, that's kind of how I feel sometimes when I'm excited to meet with my mentor and to meet with my coach, to just talk to them more about what they know and what they can offer me that I can grow to the next level. So to me, that's the first step of the blueprint. The first step of the blueprint is knowing that there's a hunger there, knowing and recognizing what it is that you're hungry for, who it is that you need to find to bring that value into your life, to lift you up, to show you and guide you in that direction. That's the first part of that. And that's the first part of the story, this story with Jesus. The second part of that blueprint and the second part of that story is where they decide that it's getting late. It's getting nighttime. These people have been there all day. There's thousands of them. And the disciples say, well, we just need to send them away, send them to the cities and the nearby towns because we don't have food to feed all these people. We can't feed them, but they're getting hungry and it's late. And they're trying to be thoughtful about the fact that they need to be fed and they need to eat and physical food. But Jesus says, no, let's see what we have. We have something here. And there was a little boy there that had 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. And so Jesus took that little bit of what he had and he broke it and he fed thousands. They say in the Bible it was 5,000 men, but it also talks about women and children. So I'm sure there was more than just 5,000 people there, probably 10,000 at least or more that were there that he fed. Well, the second part of that blueprint is he was the one feeding them. He fed them and he fed them well. He didn't just physically feed them. He fed them mentally. He fed them emotionally. He cared enough to stay there with them to bring value to their life, to show that they were seen, that they were heard, that they had a hunger in their life, and he fed that hunger. He fed the physical hunger, and he fed the emotional hunger, the mental hunger, the intellectual hunger that they had. He fed that in them. And I thought it was interesting that it said in the Bible that he fed them until they were full. I thought that was just awesome that he fed them till they were full. He took what little he had, but he fed them till they were full. So I thought this was interesting. Even when we think that we don't have a lot to offer to somebody else, what we do have can feed them until they are full. And that's exactly what he did. Well, the last part of that blueprint, and it mentions it, but it mentions it very vaguely, but it's one of the most important parts about finding your value and finding your worth and feeling seen and feeling heard, that we need those things in our life. We need to have those things where we feel full and we feel equipped and we feel like that we can go out and we can do that for other people. And that's really the purpose of all this. And that's the blueprint of all of this, is that we have this desire, we have this hunger that God puts in us to learn and to grow and to feel valued, because he created us for a purpose, with a purpose, on purpose. He created us so that we would go out for those somebodies out there that he has for us, that the gifts and the talents and the things that he's given in us and taught us, that we can go out there and we can share that with other people, that we in turn can be those mentors and those coaches and those teachers and share that and raise up other people for their value and their purpose of being here. And I think that is a great example of what we are supposed to do, a great blueprint of what we were supposed to do. I thought it was very interesting that it was laid out in the Bible so long ago that we could follow that blueprint and we can see exactly how Jesus did it and what he wanted us to do in our life. So reaching out to people for that hunger and finding the people that quench that hunger in your life is exactly what we are supposed to do. That's what the people did. with Jesus. They ran even to him so that they could not miss out on what he had to offer and what he had to give, because somehow they knew that what he had to offer and what he had to give to them was going to bring value to their life, and it was going to lift them up, and that they were going to be seen and they were going to be heard. And that was very important to them. They knew that if they got what he had, that would make a huge difference in their life. And they would be able to do that for others. So that is what we are supposed to do. That's why we have the hunger and the desire in our life to feel valued and to feel seen and to feel heard. And aside from the blueprint that I gave you today, I hope that you've enjoyed that and listening to that part of that. But start thinking about, aside from finding those that can help you out and to lift you up, to mentor you, to coach you, start thinking about, as you find your purpose and what you're supposed to do, those people out there that are waiting on you, that God has for you to pour into their life. Start thinking about what you can do to serve them and how that you can serve them. It could be through a podcast. It could be teaching in a classroom in a school building. It could be working in a bank and just serving those customers well that come in to the bank. It could be a preacher in a church. It could be working in a homeless shelter and offering what you can to them by praying for them and lifting them up and encouraging them, giving them practical things that they can use and meeting some of their needs. It can be any of those things. So just think about what we've talked about today and what we've discussed today. And I hope that this has answered the question that I asked you at the very beginning about whether you felt value, you felt seen, or you felt heard. Think about that as we leave this episode today, and think about this blueprint that I gave you and I talked about today. Think about how you can start beginning to find that value and where you can find it in your life. Well, I'm so glad that you joined me today. I hope this has encouraged you. This has lifted you up today. I hope that you realize that you have a purpose. You were created for a purpose and you were created for a reason. Please join me next time. I hope that you have a blessed and favored week. Please share this episode so somebody else can find their value and their purpose in their life as they go through their day.